A fascinating thing about Genshin Impact's story is its smart use of religious texts to connect Teyvat with the real world. And today, I want to draw parallels to why Genshin Impact's main characters have several connections to Lucifer, the Morning Star. Welcome to Why Aether and Lumine are Lucifer, where today I will be exploring the demonic counterparts of Teyvat's shooting stars. Disclaimer: this is all just a theory and a personal speculation motivated by Genshin's amazing use of religious texts. Additionally, this is in no way, shape, or form me promoting worshipping the actual devil, but rather a literary look into the narratives that might connect him with the twins. And I don't really know everything there is to know about Lucifer or Satan, just the overhead knowledge. So I might have some faulty information since searching for source material is quite dodgy. So with that, let's begin. Genshin Impact's god and goddesses have been motivated by a lot of religious texts in the past. For example, the Archon names, as well as other gods that are known to have partaken in the Archon War, are from a demonic book known as the Lemegeton Clavicula Solomonis, or the Lesser Key of Solomon, or better known as the Ars Goetia. The Ars Goetia is a book that talks about the 72 demon legions in hell, and such names that are included but are not limited to are Barbados, Naberius, Baal, Morax, and Paimon. Additionally, the Archon War is known in other languages as the War of the Demon Gods, meaning that Lucifer being integrated into the story isn't all that uncommon. Lucifer is a staple in Christian and Jewish mythology, known as the fallen angel and prince of hell. He is a figure associated with the planet Venus and is known as the morning star or the shining one. As a disclaimer, I will be under the assumption that both Lucifer and Satan are seen as the same entity, though theologians will argue that they are not the same. This is all for the purpose of simplicity and just allegorical use rather than anything completely factual. So let's begin with several themes that he shares with the twins. For this video, I'll be using Lumine as my abyss sibling and Aether as the traveler. Aether, Lumine, and Lucifer all follow the theme of the shining one and light. The name Aether and Lumine have connections to celestial bodies in the sky and the concept of light. Aether is the primordial sky in which the Greek gods came from, and Lumine may be derived from the word luminosity. Additionally, Lumine and Aether as names could be derived from the theory of the luminiferous Aether, or the light-bearing Aether. Lucifer's story is popular as a tale of fall from grace. Lucifer was one of the greatest entities of heaven who went against the divine creator. Aether and Lumine's opening cutscene show a lot of this motif. Aether and Lumine are depicted as shooting stars, and it was confirmed by them that they were once celestial bodies and that they have relations to the cosmos. This mirrors Lucifer's connections to Venus as the morning star. Lucifer was also debated to either be a seraphim or a cherubim, which are kinds of angels. I believe that the twins mirror the seraphim version of Lucifer because of the number of wings they have. Seraphims have 6 wings, while cherubims have 4. But now let's dive into the more symbolic aspect of their dissension. Lucifer was cast out of heaven for his pride against the highest heavenly order. According to the Jewish encyclopedia, he was led by his pride to strive for the highest seat amongst the gods, but was hurled down by the supreme ruler of the Babylonian Olympus. There are many alterations to this story depending on what version of the text you're reading, but we'll be focusing on the main motif of fall from grace. The word pride as being the cause of the divine downfall mirrors why the unknown god stopped the twins in the first place: the arrogation of mankind and the destruction of Conria, the pride of humanity. How you've fallen from heaven, morning star! You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the star of gods. I will sit enthroned on the mountain of assembly, on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. I will ascend above the top of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to the realm of the dead. Those who see you stare at you. But this is when the story diverges, because I believe the twins represent 2 aspects of Lucifer's tale separately. The traveler's story represents his glory as a figure of enlightenment, while the Abyss sibling's tale represents his reign as the prince of hell against the rule of God. Both of these stories, much like the twins, do connect in the end to fulfill one true goal: retribution against the divine. So let's begin with the traveler's story. Aether, traveling through Teyvat with his powers sealed, plays into the fallen angel motif, but it goes deeper than that. First is the theme of ascension. This is something we know from the very beginning, from Venti's quote about vision wielders ascending to Celestia, to the character ascension materials, to the traveler themselves potentially ascending after unlocking all the elements. We know that all throughout the game, we see Aether as a rebellious character. Aether, while polite and refined, has shown several signs of being prideful and somewhat sarcastic. We do know that Aether was a wanted man for 3 nations, and that he isn't afraid to speak out against authority if he deems them irrational. But this personality actually has another implication about Aether's role in the story. The Traveler also becomes the enabler of helping other characters reach enlightenment. Aether helps people with their problems in the side quests and event quests. This might relate to an interesting concept of Lucifer's religious history. Luciferianism is a known belief system that revolves around Lucifer. This tradition was influenced by Gnosticism and paints Lucifer in a much more philosophical light rather than the usual entity we are aware of. It sees Lucifer as a liberator, guardian, or a guiding spirit. This is most likely where the Christian interpretation of a fallen angel comes from. Lucifer, much like Aether, is seen as a symbol of enlightenment, independence, and human progression. Aether is a symbol of truth and freedom of will, seeing that his journey throughout the Archon quests involves saving humanity from a divine entity. This being the case for Mondstadt needing saving from the Valen, Liyue saving from the Harbingers and Osiel, and Inazuma from Beelzebub. Next is his connection with the Archons. Aether's connections with the demon gods may be tied in with Lucifer's own connections with the Ars Goetia. The Ars Goetia are fallen angels and demons who command Lucifer's other forces within hell. Lucifer trusts the powers of the Ars Goetia and deems them as close allies, which mirrors Aether befriending all of the Archons throughout the quest. Following this, Paimon, a demon from the Ars Goetia, is an entity that is known to be most loyal to Lucifer, which further supports this theory. But Aether's journey is incomplete. Let's go into Lumine's connections with Lucifer. The motif of a princess of the abyss is in contrast with the prince of hell. Both are rulers of a people that disobeyed a heavenly order, and hence was left to die in the pits of darkness. Her role in the story can be allegoried to John Milton's Paradise Lost, in which the devil plotted against mankind after his downfall as a means of revenge to heaven. The Abyss Order, after the destruction of Conria, had always been set in destroying Teyvat as an act of retribution, and even Lumine stated that after her journey, she saw the truth of the world. In a book known as the Livre Luciferius, or the Book of Lucifer by Ben Shakur, there are several lines that are reminiscent of the Abyss Traveler. Fun fact, this book was written allegedly with human blood upon parchment of human skin. This book came from the 4th century of pagan Rome. Anyway, this could reference her war with destiny. Think not I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Another is for her conquest of destruction. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes, in diverse places. For every one shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. On a side note, Conria's destruction, seeming so close to what hell is often depicted as, is really fascinating to me, but that's just a personal take, not grounded whatsoever by fact. Now we move on to the more present actions of Lumine and her plans for the Abyss Order. In 1.4, we are aware that the Abyss is trying to resurrect Osiel through mechanization. They will also be using the defiled statue as a base. This operation is known as the Loom of Fate. This is actually strangely reminiscent of a creature in the Book of Revelations that spoke of a beast. There are 2 beasts that are mentioned in the book, but the one I will be referring to is the one that came out from the sea. The dragon stood on the shore of the sea, and I saw a beast coming out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 crowns on its horns, and on each had a blasphemous name. The dragon gave the beast his power, and his throne and great authority. It was given the power to wage war against God's holy people, and to conquer them. This isn't the full passage, but I don't actually think it's a one-to-one connection. The beast in the Bible had the face of a leopard, so it's more of a symbolic sense. In addition, this means that Osiel isn't the only one Lumine might try to resurrect, because the Book of Revelations also state another beast that comes from the earth. Since Lumine is trying to corrupt divine entities like Devalan and Andreas, it's possible that she will look for other creatures that are sealed elsewhere like Osiel. Maybe she'll go after Durin, who is now manifested through Subject 2, or the Ashtaha, who was only sealed away. My bigger bet is Ashtaha, in all honesty. The beast in the Bible is seen as having two horns like a lamp, emerging from the earth, and it spoke like a dragon. It's also fair to note that the second beast would mark its people, similar to how Ashtaha would mark its victims. But the most fascinating connection that I can find with the Abyss and Lucifer is the conspiracy theory known as the New World Order. Allegedly, and this is me going off on Wikipedia because I'm genuinely too afraid to research further, the New World Order was a plan by Lucifer that enabled the bringing of peace. The New World Order was established to remove predestination by God's decree. Predestination in Christian theology refers to a doctrine that all events in a person's life has been willed by God. According to the Demonic Paradise Wiki, which should be taken with a grain of salt, humans were flawed and murderous creatures even if they are under God's light. Lucifer sought to remove human dependence on other divine entities and make humanity free and responsible agents determining their own developments through acts of the will. In terms of Genshin, this would be akin to the constellations and how fate is dictated already, as assumed by Mona. Lumine having a war with fate and destiny would go well with this, as in the Sword of Dissensions, the twins were eventually fated to war with destiny, whatever that means. It's also important to note that the Tree of Knowledge was crucial to giving humanity free will. In Genshin, the Irminsul trees, or the ones you find in the domains, are trees that contain knowledge of the past. Their roots transcend deeper into the abyss and they are connected to the ley lines. If my theory is correct, Lumine might also be trying to connect the Irminsul trees to Celestia as a final act of retribution, similar to how Lucifer gave humanity the fruit of the Tree of Wisdom. The domains themselves have a history with the fallen civilizations and Khaenri'ah, and that's where the trees are located. But that's all just a personal speculation. In the end, however, the twins' path will coincide when Aether finally learns the truth of the world around them. Much like Lucifer who rebelled against God, the theme of retribution is clear in Genshin's story. With Inazuma increasing the stakes of the motif, Aether will also learn more about Celestia through the Fatui, Zhongli, Venti, and A. Additionally, Aether also shows somewhat of a hostility towards the gods in Celestia, but not the Archons, which is understandable because the unknown god trapped him in Teyvat. Aether has made passes multiple times that the nature of the divine isn't so benevolent as one might think. This was seen when he spoke to Dane in 1.3 and Albedo in 1.2. The seeds of doubt have always been there since the very beginning, so it's possible that Aether and Lumine will reunite in the end. After all, Aether just wants to find his sister and leave, not necessarily to stop the abyss or to save the world for the fourth time. Will the twins finally ascend to engulf the thrones in the sky, or will they fall to the depths and wither away like the morning star? And that concludes this video. This video was supposed to be a little bit shorter, but I got carried away with all the information. I really just wanted to talk about this because it's honestly really fascinating to see literary parallels. Do I think all of this is real? No, I just think that the motifs are allegorical. On a more important update, I'll be free next week to make more videos as my Christmas break kicks in, though no promises because all my deadlines are during that time. But nevertheless, thank you so much for watching. My name is Aster, and thank you for chilling with me.